Highest XG in the Premier League from Liverpool, but also you found your wedding ring. So it's a successful night.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my God, that would have been really awful. I lost it once in my life. I needed a professional diver because I lost it in the sea. So, and from time to time when I lose 1 or 2 kilos, then it's not that fixed anymore, and I was too lively, and I lost it. I had a massive shock. But it's back. The cameraman, I don't know from which, he annoyed me quite a lot of times already this season, but today, now he has a lot of shots free because that was really important.
Mo, though, the send-off for him tonight, and obviously with his goals as well, I mean, he just puts him, well, we know what he can do, don't we?
Yeah, Mo is a goal-scoring machine. Obviously, it would have helped if he scored the first penalty already, to be 100% honest. But it's all fine, and that's how it is. He will never stop doing these things, and then he scores. But it's really extremely special. Darwin had a couple of chances as well, and in this moment, I would say 99.9% of players would have tried to finish the situation off themselves, but he squares the ball. That's really special, I have to say. Wow. So it was very important. And then, yeah, it was a bit of a long wait for VR. Obviously, we all tight decisions. That's fine then. No, special game, special night.
Just on Darwin, I know he was substituted. Wasn't the frustration at being substituted? And I know that he had opportunities, as you say, and he worked so hard. But the position that we were sitting in, we could see alongside, not saying he's hurting, but so frustrated that it's just not going for him at the moment, despite the effort he's putting in. And people will just look at him in front of goal and say, he hasn't scored. But actually, as a person, you can see what it means to him.
I don't know what you're really talking about. To be 100% honest, of course he's not happy with not scoring. But I saw him on the bench, I saw him involved, and was nail-biting around the VR decision and stuff like this, so he was fully involved. And look, football is a pretty simple game. Put the ball in the back of the net, but besides that, the boys have to do a lot of stuff. And we were talking outside, actually, about the fact it was a 100% right decision to bring Darwin today, because he kept Botman and Cher together, and that gave us the space for everything else. So it's like it's completely different. If Cody, for example, plays there or whatever, he's dropping a lot, and then they might have a different position as well. But we needed him there. And as long as Darwin has all these moments which he had today, it's all fine. And I don't know exactly what amount of goals we scored now in the season, but a lot. And Darwin will score, there's no doubt about it. The only problem is if the public wouldn't watch us, it's all fine. Because then it's just he's doing right, and the thing is all good, and he will start again and all these kind of things. It's just because we have to answer, and he gets the question, and social media and all this. That is a bit of a that disturbs slightly. But we get all that, but it's all fine. Nobody has to worry about Darwin. He's fine and played a really good game, and decided the game or brought in the right direction with an incredible, unselfish pass to Mo, and then he can score the goal.
Brilliant stuff. Thank you, Jurgen.
Welcome.
Doubt he has a huge role to play in the coming weeks in the absence of Mo Salah as well. The looming figure of Gary Neville is over our shoulder. Gary's with us for the rest of the programme here on Monday Night Football tonight. Gary, on that evidence, did Liverpool look like potential champions?
Oh, they are potential champions just because of where they are. Their manager is a sensational manager who knows how to do it, and they've got 3 or 4 players who are world class. I think that you'd have to say that the right back, we said before the game there were 3 in Van Dijk, Salah and Alisson, but actually you have to add the full back into it. Trent Alexander-Arnold, particularly on the ball, he's just sensational. So with those players fit, and obviously the manager they have, you know, if they get into that run-in, they'll be the one team that City probably won't want against them because they know that they've actually beat them before.
We've got another 6 goals tonight, 35 in this round of matches, Gary. Are we watching something special in the Premier League this season, do you think?
Well, we've seen a more exciting Premier League because there are teams up there like Villa that maybe we didn't expect, and Tottenham. You know, they're overperforming, but also just the teams are beating each other and they're always on the front foot. Dave, I've said this before, going back 20 years, it was full of teams in the league who played pretty ugly football, who were intent on stopping the opposition. Every team across this league now thinks about how they can go and keep possession, win games, score goals. They're always thinking proactively. That wasn't the case 10, 15 years ago, so we have to accept the sort of way in which the game has adapted, and we're far better for it because it's exciting. You see so many exciting games. Yeah, you get the odd 0-0 like we saw here a couple of weeks ago, Manchester United, Liverpool, but more often than not, the games have got loads of goals, loads of chances, and the players are all going for it.
Gary, I wanted to ask you, because it's something that you told me about your time in Valencia, and I think when we look at teams right now, it was always a manager who'd come in, and the first thing was always sort yourself out at the back and then build on the attack. And I remember you saying something about when you went to Valencia, and people would ask you, what's your idea, what's your plan? And that was in terms of on the ball. Is that what we're seeing actually now in the Premier League and sort of managers just across the board? The first idea is actually that sort of pattern of play principle, getting between the lines, and actually the defensive side actually comes afterwards rather than what we'd seen probably 20, 30 years ago.
Yeah, I honestly think the players actually demand that from the managers and the coaches now, that idea of sort of how we're going to win the game. What you're going to show us almost in some ways. The players have almost the players used to be secondary to the coach and the manager 15, 20 years ago. Still important, but the manager would be the dominant figure. Whereas now the players really, we talk about leaders used to be in dressing rooms, but I think the players actually are a lot more demanding of the coaches now in terms of the idea that they want from the coaches and how to play. And I don't think that managers can come now and say, we're going to play 4-4-2, we're going to get it wide and get the ball in the box, we're going to be direct. I think they get laughed out of town in the Premier League. I think there's a lot more subtlety to it, and I think that they do want those patterns of play. Maybe at times it can be a little bit rigid where there's not a plan B, and they always stick to plan A, and sometimes we have seen that. But you're right, when I went over to Valencia, I kept getting asked continuously what was my idea, and I have to say that when I played at Old Trafford, we adapted from being a possession team to a high-pressing team to a counter-attacking team. Whatever it demanded in the game, we would change. Football is different now, whereby we don't see too many teams changing their sort of ways of playing week in, week out. We see the same things appear from sort of the same team. So I agree. I think we've got a game whereby players now really do want to know how to dominate possession, keep the ball, score goals, go forward, and that means the full-backs, it means the centre-backs, it means the goalkeepers. The goalkeepers are probably spending more time now on actually using the ball than they are actually saving shots.
But perhaps a lot of the excitement of this season and that unpredictable element is coming from the foibles and frailties of the very biggest clubs. We asked both of you to make your predictions the first week of the season, so we better check in and see how you're both faring as we've passed the halfway stage. Jamie went for Manchester City and Gary Arsenal. And both had Manchester United in third place. We perhaps don't need to dwell too much on that. We spoke enough about Man United a couple of days ago.
We should be relieved of our duties for that.
Gary, you're sticking with Arsenal at this point?
Yeah, I'm not going to change my prediction. I don't think you can sort of flip-flop part way through a season.
You can if you want.
No, they're not completely out of it, Arsenal. I'm a little bit disappointed with them. They'll be disappointed with themselves. And the Arsenal fans will be disappointed in this last 2 or 3 weeks because I think they've missed an opportunity to put themselves in a great position. Not where they would be actually in a position where you'd say they're going to win the league, but that 4, 5, 6 point gap that they should have with the games that they had in this last few weeks. And they've just got to work it out. And they've hit a difficult patch, but they can come back. They still can win the league. The issue obviously is at the top end of the pitch, whereby they have a problem with putting the ball in the back of the net at this moment in time. The striker is an issue. They've got 2 good strikers in Nketiah and Jesus, but they're both 2 and 3 strikers for me. They're not a number 1, and they need that number 1 striker.
You also went for Aston Villa in your top 6, so credit to you for that, because I think that was after Newcastle had beaten them 5-1 as well, wasn't it, on the opening weekend? You do get some things right, Gary. I'd like to give you some praise occasionally.
No, I've got great faith in Unai Emery. I think that he got a bit of a sort of tough rap off people when he came. He was always laughed at and ridiculed when he came to Arsenal. But I've been in Spain for that. No, I don't think they can win it, but I think the fact they're up there is brilliant for Villa, first and foremost, but I think for us, we need to see the top clubs disrupted, and we need to make it feel like we've got real competitiveness, and I think Villa up there is good for the league. West Ham doing well is good for the league. So, yeah, no, I've got faith in Unai Emery, just being over in Spain for that 4 months, how well thought of he was over there, and knew the job he was doing over there, and just thought, obviously didn't work out at Arsenal, but then he went back over into Spanish football, and is sensational, and what he's doing at Villa is brilliant. It's absolutely fantastic. And they dropped a few points themselves over Christmas.
So you tipped up Villa, but you didn't fancy Bournemouth too much, Gary. They're currently 10 points clear of the bottom three.
Yeah, they had a difficult start, didn't they?
Well, they did, and they kept faith with Andoni Iraola, who was your one to watch, Jamie.
Yeah, I mean, he's just spoken about Unai Emery and Iraola, and I think what both those coaches have done, because to be fair, Bournemouth had a team you would associate with sort of, trying to stay up, and that may still happen. But what Unai Emery coming into Villa has done in terms of, no one expects Villa to be there. What Bournemouth have done and could push on from there, I think gives clubs belief that it's not just about money. If you have a great coach and a top manager, he can sort of revolutionise your club and take it to, places, you haven't been before. So I think what those two clubs are doing and showing with the managers who've come into the football clubs have sort of completely sort of changed it around. Still early days for Bournemouth, don't get me wrong, but I think it doesn't just give belief to those clubs. I think everybody who's maybe in a difficult situation, it wasn't so long ago West Ham were fighting relegation. They won a European trophy last season. They're in the top 6 under David Moyes, getting European football all the time. If you're in Everton, who've struggled for the last sort of 4 or 5 years, you look at Aston Villa, you look at West Ham and think, you know what? If we get the right manager in, you get the odd right signing here and there, gives huge belief right through the league.
Just one more on this, Gary. Do you think we'll see more from the promoted 3 clubs in the second half of the season?
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be a case of, the ones that we expect to go down will go down. There's always one that sort of emerges, and things obviously with Everton's predicament and what's happened with them. I think Nottingham Forest were in trouble a week or 2 ago, and now you're thinking that they're going to be okay. So things do change quite quickly. Injuries, form, pressure coming towards the end of the season. It's what we imagine it to be.
Player of the year or signings of the season. Let's just see that graphic again if we can, please. Jamie went for Maddison, who I think a couple of weeks ago, before he was injured, you were saying was the most influential player in the Premier League, and Gary went with Declan Rice. You've got to be happy with that, Jamie?
Yeah, I think when Maddison got his injury, you could argue he was in the best sort of 3 or 4 players in the Premier League, certainly alongside Declan Rice, as well as being a huge influence at Arsenal. But unfortunately, James Maddison picked up a little knock, and he's not just gone from being my favourite to be the best player or the best signing. He hasn't quite made my team of the year either.
Oh, dear. Now. He'll be disappointed about that. Before we get to that, Gary, who needs to make a big signing? Who could really turn things round, you think, in the second half of the season? Or is there a club that you feel needs it really more than most?
I think Arsenal really up top. I think for me, in terms of a big signing to make a difference, it's really difficult in January. And I think Liverpool, they do it differently here in the sense that I don't think they'll announce, and they'll probably tell everybody, Jurgen Klopp will go into press conferences and say that, they're not in the transfer market, that they're not interested in anybody, but then they are quite sly and they're clever behind the scenes, and they could just go and try and pinch someone to improve them. So Liverpool and Arsenal, those 2 clubs that really will think they've got a chance if City continue to drop points, might just look to make a signing in the transfer window in January.
Is it sly to do your transfer business quietly?
No, what I mean is clever. What I'm saying, just
say clever then.
I did say clever. You know what I mean? I think it's the right way to be. The last thing you want to do is to announce to everybody that you're looking for an ex-player or this player, and then everyone sort of waits for the call to come. Liverpool haven't been like that. They do their business in a smart manner, and I think that Jurgen Klopp will be sort of keeping his eyes open and just making sure that nothing just slips by, because I think if something becomes available, I think he's the type of manager that will convince the board here to do a bit of business for him, that particularly where they are. They can actually do this. They're in a position whereby, another player might just make the difference. And you've mentioned a defender before to sort of, beef that department up.
Gary, let's go back to the predictions. Your player to watch was Onana.
One to watch. Yeah, my impact signing was Declan Rice, so you've got flipped over that. My one to watch was Onana. My one to watch was Onana, not from a point of view that I thought he was going to be sensational, but I just thought I always think it's intriguing when Manchester United change their goalkeeper. They'd not changed their goalkeeper for 10 seasons, and there'd been this demand, obviously, for a Manchester United to have a goalkeeper that would play out from the back more, a demand for David De Gea, who'd started to make quite a few mistakes, to be changed. I think there's acceptance that it was the right decision. And how Onana was going to do was, I think, going to have a big impact upon how Manchester United were going to do in this first few months. Now, I don't think he's been great, but I don't think he's the only problem either. He's obviously been playing behind a group of players who are underperforming. So, still... I think he's still one to watch, Onana, in the second part of the season as well.
I hope so.
I'll defend you on that, Gary. I do remember the context with which you picked him in the first place. Let's have a look then at the team of the year. I don't know if you two were comparing notes, because there's quite a lot of agreed selections. Eight of... so the back four: Trent, Saliba, Van Dijk and Destiny. Dougie, he's been quite a performer, Jamie.
Dougie, yeah, listen, I think he's been fantastic. I think the full-backs, Porro, I nearly put him in. He was close to coming in as well. I think he's been fantastic. And they've just been a huge influence on the Tottenham team. And, yeah, they've won a lot of games, but they've lost a lot of games at times this season. But they've been a brilliant watch. And I think it's just been fascinating watching what Postecoglou's actually done with his full-backs. So, and also I think of the left-backs of a lot of the other teams, if you like. I don't think anyone's really stood out. So, for me, he has been the big standout.
So, clearly, Gary, you're happy with your Declan Rice pick as well?
Yeah, I think Declan Rice has had a good solid start at Arsenal. I think maybe soured slightly in the last few weeks by the results, but generally he's been a very good sign. He's settled in well, and he'll be there as a big player for many, many years to come. And yeah, I actually looked at midfield was a difficult area. Left back was a challenge, and Dougie is, I think, the outstanding choice. I went with the same one as Carragher, but I think midfield was the area where I felt most like I was struggling, really, in the sense that, I looked at a few and there's no one really been amazing in midfield. Rice probably been the pick of the bunch.
We'll come to the big reveal shortly, but you both agreed on 3 forward players. There's a reason why I'm sort of hedging my bets, because someone's picked an extra forward player. But Salah, Bowen and Son are in both of your teams. So Gary, let's come back to you on Jarrod Bowen.
Yeah, Bowen had to be in my team, just what our West Ham have done, how he's done, the goals he's scored, the impact he's had. And I always think when you're doing that for a team that isn't at the very top and isn't creating the most chances, I always think it's more challenging. So he's been outstanding. The thing that I felt uncomfortable with was having him as my sole centre-forward. I felt as though, in the end, because of my lack of what would be real options in midfield, I went for the extra striker up top with Bowen, because I felt as though it was a better option than going for a weaker player in midfield.
He's really thinking about this.
Yeah, he's really justifying playing a front four. But, can I just mention Bowen?
Here's Gary's team, then. Here's Gary's team. So,
wow, 4 strikers.
It's going to be fun to watch.
It's not a front four, really.
What is it, then?
Bowen, Salah plays as you know, he sort of moves in from that side. He comes in off the line, as does Son. It was more of a front three, and then Bowen was just sort of playing sort of a little bit in behind Haaland, not directly up with him.
Oh, so you've got Bowen as a 10?
Well, not a 10, just more of a sort of loose forward around Haaland. A little bit like Alvarez does, Jamie. You watch Manchester City.
Well, why don't you put him in then?
Well, no, I'm just saying, I just thought Bowen was a little bit like Alvarez does for City. I thought, for me, I was happy with midfield. I thought about Douglas Luiz at Villa, and I looked at the stats between Luiz, Rice and Rodri and felt as though there was a case for putting him in. But I thought with Rice and Rodri holding midfield with Saliba and Van Dijk behind, we could afford to be a little bit more attacking up top. And I thought the other midfield players, there were likes of Bernardo Silva and, a couple of others. There's ones at Chelsea. I couldn't pick anyone from Chelsea or Manchester United just because of how bad they've been. So I just thought, I can't pick any players from those teams.
Jamie has.
And I thought, well done to him.
Yeah, well, the big problem I've got with Gary's team is it's going to be the most narrowest team I've ever seen in my life, because he's going to have the full-back, so Dougie and Trent are going to come inside. The 2 wide players come inside, absolutely no width whatsoever.
He's got Salah as wing-back.
Yeah. Should we get to my team?
I think my team would beat your team, Jamie.
Well, Cole Palmer, a Chelsea player, has made it in.
We'd steamroller that lot.
Well, for me, Bernardo Silva, I can't believe you've not picked Bernardo Silva. I just think he's sensational. He is every season. He had to be in there. And Cole Palmer, I think you said you can't pick a certain player because the team hasn't done so well, but that for me almost elevates Cole Palmer. his performances this season, I mean, he's been Chelsea's best player by a mile, which is not too difficult, but that is looking like, I wouldn't say a mistake from Man City, because, you know, would he have got in ahead of Foden or different players? But I think Palmer has been one of the players of the season. He's not just lucky to get in the team as such. He's been one of the best players in the Premier League this season.
So would you rather have Vicario than Alisson?
I just think, because he's new to the Premier League, I think Alisson's the best goalkeeper in the world, but in terms of being new to the Premier League, I think the XG prevention is the most in the league as well. I think he's been brilliant with that high line, coming off his line and helping Spurs with that as well. So for a new keeper to come into the Premier League and perform as well as he's done, that's why he's in.
I have to be honest, Gary, I think Jamie was wavering over Mo Salah as well.
Was he? Yeah.
I was when he missed that penalty.
Do you know, I mean, we've not mentioned Rodri, and Rodri, you talk about Bernardo Silva not being in my team. Rodri's won the World Club Championship, he wins the Super Cup. They can't win a game without him. He's the most important midfield player in the league by a mile, Rodri. He's the best midfield player in that position in the world.
So why have you not picked him?
Rodri, he's in my team.
You picked Rodri?
Yeah.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, he's holding me alongside Declan.
What's going on here?
How can you play Declan
Parallel
Rice and
universe.
Rodri? It's the same player.
Oh my God. Can we just go back to the point? You always try and take me off track. Rodri is the best midfield player in the world in his position. They've won 2 trophies already. They're probably, I don't know, 2 points, 3 points off the top of the league, or 4 points off the top of the league, whatever they are. I can't believe you wouldn't pick Rodri in that midfield. So I had to have Rodri and Rice in. You'd pick Rodri. I mean, I love Bernardo Silva, and I think Cole Palmer's a great talent, but I couldn't pick anyone from Chelsea United. They've been that bad. I just wrote them off. And then Bernardo Silva, I just couldn't get him in ahead of the front 4 players. Haaland, for me, is the best striker in the world, along with Harry Kane. And to be fair, he's a top scorer, Haaland, isn't he?
Yeah.
Haaland's a top scorer in the league.
Yeah, but the reason to be honest, I think most teams play 4-3-3, so I'm only going to ever pick one striker. No, I mean, we've just been talking about football from 20 years ago. That's what people used to do, play 4-4-2 or 4-2-4. The football that team's playing now is 4-3-3. So one striker has to go in. Now, Haaland's been injured of late. Yes, he's the top scorer, but he plays for Man City. Yes, he's the best striker by a mile. But I felt that Bowen deserved to go in for the fact that he scored in 11 games this season. Now, he's only played 18.
To the final word. Every Monday, Michael and I are here, and we're here on the very first Monday of 2024 after Liverpool-Newcastle with one of Michael's former Liverpool teammates, our good friend Steve McManaman, with us for final word this evening. And they were here to witness a typical Liverpool-Newcastle fixture at Anfield. 4-2, 0-0 at half-time. It didn't disappoint. Something about this game that always seems to produce the goods. You played in a few over the years.
Yeah, I did. And actually, we were concerned before the game because Newcastle are on such a desperate run, how they would set up and whether it'd be a bit defensively minded today. It couldn't have been further from the truth, was it? There were so many opportunities, particularly for Liverpool. They were very dominant, but you know, watching Liverpool at Anfield at this moment in time with the amount of players they have is excellent, isn't it?
We can go live to Anfield now to talk to one of the Liverpool goal scorers. Cody Gakpo is waiting to speak to us. Cody, thank you very much indeed for joining us on the final word. That was a terrific game to watch. What was it like to play in?
Yes, it was an intense game. To be honest, I think in the first half we should have maybe scored a few more goals, and then it would be an easier game. But in the end, yeah, it was an intense game, and I think a nice game to watch.
With the chances you had in the first half, and obviously the penalty, was it important to remain patient?
Yeah, for sure. I think everybody knows when you don't score, but you play a good game, then you have to stay focused and stay patient, and that's what we did. And in the end, we got the win.
Cody, it's Michael Owen. I was just wondering, Mo Salah, he's going to be leaving the team very shortly. But all of a sudden, there's all of you strikers are fit, are healthy, and scoring goals. So if he has to go, is this the ideal time that you can all step in?
Yeah, I think it's a player you cannot easily replace. If you see his numbers and how he plays every game. But yeah, it's a good time for other strikers now. Everybody is scoring, everybody is fit. So if there was a time he could leave for a bit, it's now.
Cody, this is Steve McManaman. Talk us through your goal today. Was it relief when you seen it bounce in because you didn't get the power that you wanted?
Yeah, obviously I saw Mo getting the ball and I thought I could make the run behind. But yeah, I didn't have the best finishing touch, but it went in after all.
They all count.
They all count, exactly, mate. They all count.
Yeah, they all count. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, it's a good one.
Cody, tell us about Anfield at the moment. I mean, it was rocking again tonight, start of the new year. 52 Premier League games there, and you've only lost one, Liverpool.
Yeah, where should I start? I think everybody knows the atmosphere here is amazing, and they showed it today again. And it's really helpful for us in moments when it's maybe sometimes a little bit difficult, and it gets us really through that tough moments. But yeah, really grateful all the times they are behind us.
And I know you're going to tell me there's a long, long way to go. Of course there is. There's another 18 games, but top of the league to start the new year, 3 points clear. What kind of foundation have you got compared to perhaps 12 months ago?
Yeah, I think we're in a good moment. We started obviously the season really well, and yeah, we just kept going. And I think it's for us now to stay focused and keep improving every time. And even today, we played a good game, but still lots of things we can improve. And if we stay focused on that kind of stuff, I think we will be only be better in the future. And yeah.
Cody, this is Macca again. I just wanted to ask you, how have you found the Christmas period? I know you had a couple of days off after Burnley. How's it been?
Yeah, just before Christmas, we started a really tough period. I have to say, I think it was like 4 games in 10 days. For me, obviously the first time in my career, but I enjoyed it. And unfortunately, we drew 2 times at home, but. Yeah, I liked it.
Well done today. Congratulations on your goal and a terrific win. Thanks very much indeed for joining us.
Well done, mate. Well done.
Thank you very much, guys.
Klopp and his Liverpool team. And as Michael said, he was expecting goals early in that second half. We only had to wait 4 minutes. And perhaps after what happened in the first half, it was no surprise that Salah was the one who was going to score it.
Yeah, absolutely. There were so many chances in the first half. You just couldn't imagine there weren't going to be any goals. It was a bit of a counter-attack, really, from Liverpool. Right from the back, a long ball, layoff from Nunez, and then cutting inside Diaz. I thought this was brilliant, though, from Nunez. Some people would shoot. Maybe Mo Salah would shoot. I don't know. But he lays it on a plate, and it's a nice little tap. And
he would have shot if it was the 89th minute and he was on a hat-trick. He would have shot.
Yeah. But from left to right, you know, spreading the Newcastle defence. There was a little question mark about offside, but that clearly showed it. And a really nice, unselfish pass and a tap in for Mo.
Yeah, and a milestone goal, as I say, Macca. Only the 5th player in the entire history of Liverpool Football Club to get to 150 league goals.
Yeah, that's an incredible achievement, isn't it? You know, for we've said it before, for a man who authentically plays as a winger, really, you know, you see him, he's out on that touchline all the time, receiving the ball, and to accumulate that number of goals is, it's a wonderful statistic, really. And
Liverpool, unselfish play. It was a lovely through ball from Mo Salah. But as you say, the build-up was good. Jota made a big difference when he came on. This was a lovely weighted ball from Salah, and again, everyone was expecting a little dink over the goalkeeper, but to have that awareness when you're looking towards the right-hand side of the pitch at the pass and at the timing and timing your run and everything else, to understand what's in behind you as well, was brilliant. This is just a mark of the player. Little glance there and lays it on the plate.
Yeah, Jota gets the assist, but it was the ball from Salah, really, wasn't it? Again, that's the ball that cuts open the defenders, and it was a simple enough finish for Curtis Jones, but he has to make the run himself. The fact that he was in there, in that spot, you know, you have to say well done to him as well. It was a lovely move by Liverpool.
Yeah, and it was Mo Salah's goal as well for the other substitute, Gakpo, to create a 2-goal advantage at that time.
Yeah, this was a very strange goal. Defensively, it was poor. I thought the last goal actually was poor defensively for Newcastle, and they're in a good line. There, you see the 4 defenders, and then Mo just hits it with the outside of his left foot, almost curling back towards Gakpo. And everybody's standing arms out, all the Newcastle defenders, thinking that there's going to be offside, and it's Botman's left foot. You can clearly see the line of the pitch is keeping him on. and he mishits it, yet he's still got the time just to roll into an empty net. Again, you know, Salah was a little bit frustrating in the first half, and then he ends up scoring 2 and virtually, you know, getting 1.5, getting 2 assists on the game. It was extraordinary in the end.
As I say, it's brilliant to watch Liverpool, isn't it? But you sense they're always going to give the opposition a chance, and Botman made it 3-2. Is this a soft goal to concede defensively?
Yeah, there will be disappointment. I think every time you concede a set piece, it's frustrating. The smaller players are there to block, and they didn't really do much of a job blocking. And actually, it's Jota that is the one that's ending up. Well, if anybody is trying to attack it, I think it comes off Botman's shoulder in the end as well. But they will be disappointed. But Liverpool have got a fantastic defensive record this season. There's one that they should be very proud of. But any time you concede a set piece, there's always an inquiry, let's say, after the game, and you know, because they are things that you can prevent. You know, great football, sometimes it's hard to defend, but most of the time, or virtually all the time, you should be able to stop a set piece.
Now, it didn't matter in the end because it was the 4th goal, and they obviously won by 2 goals. But there's a huge debate at the moment over this penalty.
Yeah.
For the 4th goal, Diogo Jota.
It was a lovely ball by McAllister. I don't know, firstly, why he just doesn't score himself. There's contact by the goalkeeper, but then he goes down 2 strides too late. So again, once it's given, because there's contact there, Steve, and there is contact, but then he stays on his feet and then falls over. So I don't know what was going through his mind. It'd be interesting to see what it says. Once Anthony Taylor's given it, it's not a clear, not an obvious error, because there's definitely contact. But yeah, I'm slightly bemused himself, because the contact's there. Why doesn't he fall over there? But he has 2 more steps and then jumps. So it was...
Could he have even retrieved the ball?
I think he could have.
I thought he might have just tap it in.
Yeah, he might have thought, oh, my touch is a little bit too big, I'll go down instead and get a penalty. For me, it's exactly the same as the first one in terms of Diaz. It's the same type of decision. No question, the elbow of the Bravka contacts, you know, with Jota. I think everybody can see that. There's an elbow here. I think it's the left elbow of the Bravka's coming in now. There it is.
Yeah, he catches him.
Bang, there, onto the foot. So there's definitely, but 2-3 strides later, you can see he throws himself to the floor. So, and it's exactly the same with the first penalty with Diaz earlier on. He can stand up as well. But, as I said at half-time, when players get touched, a lot of the time now, they think, right, I'll go down. Because if he stayed up, he wouldn't get a penalty. So, call it a dive. Yes, he is going down too easily, but he has been touched. Yeah. And put it this way, VAR aren't going to change because they've seen a touch and he's gone down. So what can you say? You know, I suppose you've got to give a penalty. Right, it's a little bit... I don't like the taste in my mouth, you know, when I say it, but I did the same. If sometimes I would feel a touch, even if I could stay up, if I thought a better chance of a penalty, and it's a split-second decision, a lot of time you might get it wrong. But if you feel someone hit you, why should I stagger to my feet? Why should I stay up if you're illegally hitting me? Now, some people will say, well, it's, you know, not every touch has got to be a foul. You shouldn't go down unless you have to, etc. And I totally understand all that. But
yeah, if the goalkeeper doesn't touch him, he just rolls it into an empty net. But the fact that he's lost his balance slightly, and he mightn't think I'm going to get there, well, then it's a penalty. Yes, he goes down late. You know, as Michael said, he throws himself to the floor, but it's still a penalty.
Is that your presumption? He thinks he couldn't get there?
Well, probably. Otherwise, he would have just carried on and rolled it into the empty net himself and gets the goal.
It's such a split-second.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Split-second decision as well. You feel it, and as soon as you get touched when you're in the box, you're automatically thinking, he's diving at my feet, I'm waiting for a touch and then I'll go down. But then you see the ball is... And then, you know, it happens too quick to really make a good decision. So
there's sometimes when someone's come flying in at me and I've jumped over them when I played and lost your balance. There's no contact, but it's a foul because the intent is there to try and get you. The fact that I'm jumping out the way to try and save myself from injury doesn't mean it's not a foul because there's no contact that's being made. So that's the same. He thinks he's not going to get there, but the contact was there. Otherwise, he would have rolled it into an empty net. If the goalkeeper leaves him alone, he scores. The goalkeeper's brought him down. The only thing we're talking about is the fact that he fell probably a step and a half too late. That's all we're thinking about. But otherwise, I think it's a penalty. I really do.
Well, he doesn't agree, and perhaps you wouldn't expect him to. But what I will say is 10 saves tonight, the most of any goalkeeper in a Premier League game this season.
Yeah, it broke virtually every record in terms of chances and things like that. We saw 6 goals, which is fantastic to see, but it really could have been more, especially from Liverpool's point of view. They definitely could have scored a couple more, and that man was in inspired form to prevent it. Of course, they missed a penalty as well. Mo Salah in the first half. It was incredible how it was 0-0 at half-time. We expected a few goals. We didn't expect 6. But it was a Liverpool Newcastle of old, let's say, always entertaining games, and it was great to see.
And no surprise that Salah stood up again, having missed, to take this penalty.
Yeah. And he couldn't just thrash it like he did the first one. He shows a little bit more guile here, doesn't he, and just places it into the net, of course. And when you see him send the goalkeeper the wrong way, it's always a nice feeling for Mo. But he had an inspired second half, he really did. Manager not looking, as you said before, judging the crowd's reaction, knew it went in. You know, you hope that the penalties don't overshadow, you know, what the overall game was about. Liverpool were extremely dominant today, extremely dominant. They had so many attempts. Goalkeeper was arguably the man of the match if you don't want to give it to Salah. So you don't want to just talk about the penalty decisions, but there's Mo's numbers up with exalted company there, isn't he? And in Roger Hunt and Rushy and Billy Liddell and Hodgson. I mean, it's just phenomenal numbers.
Yeah, and that's his farewell game for a period of time. We don't know how long, but a reminder to those watching, if Egypt get to at least the semi-finals of the African Cup of Nations, then up to 8 games in League and Cup, Mo Salah will be missing.
Well, I do think that the performance of Diogo Jota there has relieved some of the tension, let's say, amongst the Liverpool staff, players and fans, because he made a difference when he came on. And they've got players back. Gakpo came on and scored as well. Of course, Diaz and Nunez started the game, so they've got options. Everybody's fit in those positions as well. So if there was ever a time that you had to lose him, then probably at any point of this season.
To Goodison Park here on Merseyside. I'm Derek Ray, ready to bring you commentary, and joining me is the former Arsenal defender Lee Dixon. And looking forward to bringing you action from the Premier League coming right up. It is Everton taking on Liverpool.
Yeah, thanks, Derek. All that work in the week, all that chat in the dressing room, all that stops now. It's put your game face on, get down to it. I'm really looking forward to this one.
And here's how Everton line up. Jordan Pickford begins in goal. Luca Digne plays with Seamus Coleman in the fullback positions. Alan starts alongside Abdoulaye Doucouré. They could nudge in front. Got a strong glove on the ball from the keeper.
Well, they're conceding too many chances, and the crowd sense that too. They're trying to urge their team on.
And he might be through here. Richarlison! Crucial intervention just then amid impending danger. Well, he strayed offside just as it looked promising. Sigurdsson. Calvert-Lewin. Oh, what an opportunity! Must be! And still danger here. And problem solved for now. And a throw-in forthcoming. But on the way into the game, so many people were asking us about Sadio Mane, a truly top talent. Lee, what kind of display do you expect to see from him?
Well, virtually everything. Quick feet, quick mind, sees the pass before anybody else. So difficult to stop a player like that.
Thiago. Well, nothing comes of the attack when all is said and done. Straight forward for the keeper. Sigurdsson. And here's Alan. And plenty of room in the wide area. Well, it could be on for him here. Oh, it's gone in! A derby goal, the first of the contest, electric.
Well, here's the replay. He's done really well to get his head up and pick out a teammate. And then from there, the keeper had little chance. 2-on-1. left completely exposed, and it made for a simple finish in the end.